Greetings. Welcome to another broadcast of I Have a Testimony. I'm your host, Brother Willie Muhammad.
God came to us to seek and to save that which was lost. He raised a man from among us.
He, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, laid the foundation. What I'm doing is something that comes from him through me, and the thing that he uses in me to do the work is my faith in him and the word that he taught. To produce men and women who wanted to clean up their life and build an independent nation for the glory of God.
91 years ago today, on July 4, 1930, our Savior, Master Farad Muhammad, declared the independence of the black man and woman here in America.
You know that Master Farad Muhammad made his appearance in North America on the 4th of July. Why did the great Mahdi leave Mecca, his birthplace, and come alone to North America by himself? Why? Why would he come while America was celebrating their independence? He came to offer the ex-slave our independence from them. So he came on the 4th, so we don't have to celebrate the folly of firecrackers and foolishness.
Today, we're joined with our very special guest, Sister Medina Mohammed. She will share with us some very valuable history about our Savior, as well as her relatives and others who helped to establish the Nation of Islam. We are also happy to let you know that this will be a two-part series, with part 2 airing next Sunday, inshallah, where she'll be joined with her brother Noor Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, dear sister, and thank you for joining us.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you for having me. I just want to greet the listening audience with the greeting words of peace, of Assalamu alaikum, and opening up thanking Almighty God, Allah, with the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. I openly testify that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. I thank you for this great opportunity, Brother Willie, and the listening audience. I thank you, and I thank Allah for being able to come and share such great information that will help our people on this 4th of July, as the minister just said, our Independence Day, our independence in another way, in a much greater way for us, the so-called American Negro in the hells of North America, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad would say. I also want to say thank you to Minister Farrakhan, for if it was not for him, there would be no reason for us to have this interview or even speak about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Master Farad Muhammad. I thank Minister Farrakhan for bringing those two names, those two great people, back to the minds of the people, that we may not forget where we came from and where the glory belongs, if it was not for those two people and Minister Farrakhan mentioning those two people to us. I also want to thank my parents. Further, that if it was not for them, we would not be sitting here today, and I would have nothing to share if it was not for my parents as well. So thank you, dear brother. May Allah bless us, and may Allah bless us with this interview that I'm just slightly nervous about, but inshallah we will flow very well.
Very well. And I thank you, and thank you for your words, sister. And we once again thank you for accepting this invitation, and we thank you and your family, for all that they have done to make it possible for where we are today. And my first question, I would like to start off, you kind of shared a little bit about this, but I asked you some more. So for those who are watching this broadcast and who may not be familiar with you and who you are, would you be so kind to take a few more moments to share with them, who you are and also who your parents are, your mother and your father?
Yes, sir, of course. My parents, my mother was and is the one and only secretary to Master Fard Muhammad. My father is and was the younger brother to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Minister John Muhammad. From that union came 14 children. I am the 13th child and the 6th daughter of that union, from that union. My mother came into the Nation of Islam at the age of 17 in 1932. My father came in the Nation of Islam in 1931, and there is where they met as they were helping and assisting to form the foundation of the great Nation of Islam with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the founder of the Nation of Islam, Master Fard Muhammad.
And as we talked about, today is the 91st year since the declaring of our independence by Master Fard Muhammad. I'm still working on rolling my R's. So, and I wanted to have you as a guest on this day because of the unique relationship that your parents had with the Savior, especially your mother, as you noted her being the only secretary of Master Fard Muhammad. So your mother was his only secretary. Can you share with those who are watching some of the many contributions that she contributed to our nation and the responsibilities that she had in those early days of the Nation of Islam?
Yes, sir. I will share some of it. She when she came into the nation in 1932, in around it was October of 1932, and she came in with her parents at the age of 17. Her father, Jesse James, was my grandfather's name, Jesse James Sharif. He had been coming to hear Master Fard teaching, and he, my grandmother had did not know what he was doing at first, because he would go to these meetings without telling her, and he would come in late. My mother said her mother thought that maybe he was seeing someone else or having an affair. And so finally, my grandfather, Jesse James Sharif, he finally told his wife where he had been going. And he was afraid to tell her because she was such a devout Christian, a believer, Baptist, am I correct? Mm-hmm. Baptist. And he was afraid to share with her where he had been going because he didn't think she would want to leave that type of belief. So when he decided to tell her, he sat her down and talked to her, and he said, I want to tell you where I've been going. And he mentioned that there was a man here that says he is our brother from the East. And she asked him, what for looking man is he? In other words, what did he look like? And he described Master Fard Muhammad to her. And she asked him, can women go? Can females go? And he said, yes. So my mother said, being that she said, you might say I was kind of nosy or inquisitive. And I asked, can I go too? And he said, yes, everybody can go. So they went. And when they went, there was my mother, first of all, had noticed, looking around, that there was a man typing with 2 fingers. And she told a friend of hers, so I can use all of my fingers when I type. He only using 2 of his fingers. And so that word, she felt, had got around. So at another meeting, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had asked, was the sister here who said she can type? So my mother said she looked around, and out of all of those many people that were there, she said no one else stood up. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, if you're present, to please stand. And he said, so she said she looked around, and out of all of those people, nobody stood. So she said, I guess they was talking about me. So she stood up, and he asked her, he asked her, was she a Muslim? And she said that my father was. And he asked, well, who was her father? And she told them who her father was. And he said, oh, the ice maker, because grandfather was a Baptist preacher at first as well, and the preachers were commonly referred to as the ice maker. And so he said that, so the messenger told her that they would like to talk to her, and she said, and conduct something somewhat of an interview. And so they did. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad sit down with her and talk to her, and that is how she became the secretary. And so when so that is how she became the secretary at the age of 17.
Wow. So we
first came into the nation.
We are 3 minutes before the break, but I want to ask you this question, and then I'll finish the other ones on the other end. But I want to ask you this question. Did your mother ever share why Master Farrakhan Muhammad gave her the title of the Reformer? You can do that in 3 minutes. I know it's a lot. I know it's a lot.
Well, yes, sir, I can make it short. And actually, what the word reformer means is to take and make better. It's one of the many meanings that word has. It is to make better. And so Master Farad's he had such a heavy accent when he would speak, and he would often say, I hope that you all are getting what I'm saying. You're understanding what I am trying to say to you. With my mother being his secretary, and everything that was all the lessons, everything that you see today, your English lesson C1, student enrollment, Department of Supreme Wisdom, all of that material was first typed by her. So he would handwrite what he wanted typed, give it to her, and she would type. So therefore, she would make it, reform it to a language that we as a people would understand. That's the short version of it.
Ooh, listen. You just sent chills. You just sent chills through my body. Like how grateful I am that she actually did that. So we're gonna go to this quick break, and we'll be back. And we're gonna ask all of these questions. So we'll pause from some announcements from our sponsors, and we'll be back with our guest, Sister Medina Mohammed.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps us to highlight solutions for a brighter tomorrow. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
Asiatic Minds. Online education. Helping our children to discover their God-given skills, gifts, talents, and passion that will allow them to see their greatness, as well as the greatness of our people. And upon discovering that greatness, infusing them with the desire to use it for the betterment of themselves, their families, our people, and the world. Call now 502-219-4848.
This is Sister Sajda Muhammad. We are proud to announce that the Sajda House commemorative Elijah coins are finally here. This priceless heirloom, made from recycled copper from the messenger's home, is now available at sajdahouse.com.
The hashtag Bank Black social media campaign made strides not only in revolutionizing how we bank, but also how we think. The movement inspired thousands of African Americans across the country to transfer or deposit millions of dollars into Black-owned banks. These are banks that will invest in urban communities, employ African Americans, support Black businesses, and inspire Black home ownership. This is a very proud moment for our culture as we are taking small, but significant, steps towards building Black power through Black wealth.
Thank you for tuning in to NNV News. Please share your thoughts with us in the comments section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, National Network View. This is Clifton Muhammad with NNVnews.com.
And we're back, brothers and sisters, with our very special guest, Sister Medina Mohammed, who was just sharing about the contributions of her mother made to the Nation of Islam, which we still benefit from today. You know, Sister Medina, when I first read the little booklet, I was like, man, Master Farrakhan Muhammad was stern. You know what I'm saying? And we talked it, and your mother talks about it. Can you share with those who are watching how, you know, your mother talked about his sternness and his seriousness, but she also showed how he balanced that out. Can you talk about how he balanced his seriousness and his sternness, especially with her?
Yes, sir. She would often say how strict he was, and he had a zero tolerance for mistakes. Zero. If there's anything that can be below zero, that's what it is too. So she said that he was very, very stern, very serious. And at the same time, there were times when they also would have fun. They also would have fun. He would show them how to have fun, good, clean fun. She mentioned that there was a moment when she was thinking to herself how she felt like he had hurt her feelings so bad, and she felt like no one cared, and he told her, I care, and who else do you need to care? If I care, there's no one else you need to care. And to console her. And then there are other times when he would offer her some ice cream. She said he had worn me out so bad. He offered ice cream, and all she wanted to do was to go home. And he said, well, the reformer doesn't want any ice cream, so we'll just take the reformer home. And in many cases, he would be the one to take her home and pick her up. She said that he drove real fast. She said he drove fast. He had a heavy foot. And that he would, by the time she'd get home and get into bed good, he was right back and had to do more work. She had to do more work, go back and type more work. But there were times when, like, for instance, on a Tuesday, every Tuesday was no school. There was no school on Tuesday. And that was the day that more of a family type social get together, as it was referred to, more like picnics, as we've changed that name nowadays. But it was referred to as picnics on a Tuesday. So on a Tuesday, they would take care of the business of the day, whatever concerns the mosque may have had, whatever the teachers may have had in terms of how to teach certain students. Whatever the business of the day needed to be taken care of was Tuesday mornings. There was no school again. So then after that, they will go to the park. They will go to Belle Isle. Yes, Master Farrakhan has been to Belle Isle several times. They would go to Belial. They would have picnics. They would have different foods. She said that what they would do, what they were told was, everybody bring a dish and bring something that you don't think someone else is going to bring. Bring something odd, something different. And actually, and I know you're going to ask this question, but I'm going to go ahead and elaborate right now since we're talking about food. That is how the bean pie came. Sister Mary El Manzo Islam, who was mentioned in one of the books, she was of Mexican descent. She was married to a Mexican and so forth. And that's how the bean pie came about. If you know anything about Mexicans, they love beans. And so Sister Mary Manzo Islam, as she's mentioned in the book, and I think you have the many books she's mentioned in the book here. And she came up with the idea of the Navy bean pie. So, and also on Tuesdays, they will also have their dance. They would party, as we would say. My mother mentioned that my uncle John, one of the brothers to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he would be, as we would call, the DJ. And they would holler and say, "Go ahead, John, keep it going." And they would be dancing and they would be dancing and they would be having fun. And Master Farad danced. Yes, he danced. And different contests they were having. Whoever would win the contest from the dance. My mother said that she had 2 left feet. And she said she tried to dance with him, but another sister was able to dance with him more better. And he he danced with her, and she ended up winning the prize. So that's mentioned also in this book, and I think you have a set of all the books too as well, Brother Willie.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. And we're going to, throughout the interview, we're going to show the pictures on the screen and also let people know how they can get them. But thank you for showing it, and thank you for sharing what you shared. You know, I would like to take this time also to talk more about your mother as a person and as just her strength. I asked that because despite what she experienced, she never gave up. You know, she continued to keep working. And when so many times, often people give up when things get hard. But what was interesting in the book that you shared, there was an occasion where the Mozambique Elijah Muhammad was upset about something that she did, and he wanted her removed. Right. And it was interesting what the Savior said to a sister by the name of Sister Grace about your mother. So you can talk about that experience, even the qualities of your mother.
Well, actually, Sister Grace said, "Well, why get rid of her?" He said, "She's only going to make the changes that you asked." He said, "Why get rid of her?" And so, because we're talking about a 17-year-old. We got to keep in mind that everything that I'm talking about, that we're sharing at this moment, we're talking about a teenager. We're talking about a young, pure, innocent individual. And so, and a female at that. So a female has, her emotions are different, run different than a male. I'm not going to get into all of that, but that's, let me stay focused. And so, but we're talking about a 17-year-old who is young and pure and innocent, which probably made Master Fard Muhammad's job just a little bit easier because he didn't have to deal with a know-it-all woman. So so he had Allah sent him a young one that he could form, that he could make the way he wanted her to make. And with that being said, she brought that same type of learning characteristics in the home. That's the way she raised us. She was very firm in the home. What Master Farad Muhammad put on her, she put on us. That's right. She put on us. Mm-hmm. And that's her. She never gave up. She never gave up, even when her faith was tested. And her faith was tested with children being taken. She was a part of the group when they did the raid to the mosque in 1934 or 43? 34, 1934, if I'm not memory serves me correct.
Wow.
When they did the raid on the mosque, and she was one of those. She was one of them. And every time that she wasn't afraid to show her faith. And even when it comes to being taught that the white man is the devil, and then imagine a woman being 7 months pregnant with a child, and then gives her children, her babies, over to the devil. Man.
She stayed in there. And I know probably like just being a writer, after you write something, you got the book done, you come back and you look, man, I should have added this, I should have added that. And with that being the case, were there, after you all printed the booklet, were there any stories that your mother shared about Master Farad Muhammad that you all wish you would have put in the book, or may put in the next one, that you might can share now?
It's not that we wished. It was just to give you a little bit at a time. I had sent over quite a bit of information over to Minister Farrakhan and asked him for his guidance. And he said, "Oh, don't print that yet." He said, "Oh, don't do that." He said, "Little bit at a time." So it's not that we didn't forget or we wish we had them. It's coming. It's coming. Inshallah, it's coming. We have a lot more to feed you, as time go on. And with the guidance of Minister Farrakhan, you will get more. You will get more.
Beautiful. And this last question before we have 4 more minutes before our break.
Yes.
Now, we want to talk about the book, The Pathway of Islam.
Yes, sir.
And often when we talk about Master Farad Muhammad's history and the method in which he used to go after our people, we hear he was a peddler of silks, But I've read in another book, and even in this booklet, that there were some other things that items that he had as a way to try to get next. Can you share a little bit more about that?
I'm looking at my brother.
It's a raincoats I saw. They say
right.
something.
Well, yes, sir. It was. I think I was speaking to more of his method. In terms of, and that's coming up too. That's coming up too, Brother Minister. I see you, Brother Minister. I see
right.
you. It's that's coming up too. But the many methods that he used to grab our people, which we have to remember that at that time, where slavery was just 65 years up, there had to have been a method. And more so of what else did he sell, we need to study the method, the success of the foundation, period, which I feel is missing today so much. I've talked to people, they say, "Oh, that's that old stuff. That old stuff was successful. That old stuff made it where we're here today, that old stuff."
That's true.
It's the method that we need to study and implement it today. There's some things that never grow old.
Never grow.
Styles of fashion that never go out of style.
They come back.
Yeah, and there's fashions that returns. I just got a pair of glasses, and I said, "Wow, my mother used to wear this stuff."
Wear those. And we'll do this in 2 minutes if you can. Like, your mother was the secretary of the Savior. Like, do you ever like sit down sometimes and you think like, wow, like briefly, like what are those moments when it just hits you like, Master Farad, my mother and my father knew him, You
want me to answer that now or when we come back?
You can answer it now. We got 2 minutes. I know it's brief.
All I got
Oh, you want to answer when we come back?
I would love to. Yes, sir.
Okay. So we're gonna go. Listen, this is like, we need so much time. But
Yes,
thank
sir.
you. Listen,
Yes,
for the stuff that you shared already it just means so much, and it's just so fulfilling. So we're gonna pause for our brief public announcement from our sponsors, and we'll be back with our sister for this part 1 of this interview, Sister Medina Mohammed.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
worldwide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download the Final Call Radio app and take us everywhere. On your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also log on to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button, or finalcallradio.com. Final Call Radio, the official voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel at National Network View. I am Medina Mohammed with NNVnews.com.
All right, we're back, family, and our sister was just about to share just how it feels just to know that her mother and her father actually worked with the Savior who's responsible for the Nation of Islam. Go ahead, Sister Medina.
Okay, yes, sir. It wows me. Sometimes you never know the blessing you have in front of you until it's gone. I've learned more about my mother since she's been gone. She passed in February of 2002. And since we have been blessed to do the exhibits since 2007 with my brothers and a couple of my sisters, and we've been blessed from 2007 all the way up to 2020 to do the exhibits. And the doors that it has opened up for us is tremendous. With Dr. Stacy Muhammad in that exhibit. Oh my God. We started out and we've been doing it continuously under Sister Dr. Stacy. And the exposure that we have been given because of it. Now, I can't thank the minister enough, I'm telling you. Because if it was not for Minister Farrakhan, it would not be a reason for this exhibit, because no one would know what the heck we talking about or why we talking about it. If it wasn't for Minister Farrakhan. I love that man. Now, my mother and my father, and especially my mother, because when we refer to Master Fard Muhammad as God in person, and I say my mother at 17 years old, coming to the knowledge of herself. And she continues that. She didn't stop. She continues that. Yes, sir. And she came into the nation, and I never understood many things coming up, even her sternness and strictness and how she trained us. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. And it wows me when I meet people and Muslims from all over the world. We've met Muslims from Europe. I never thought I'd see a Chinese Muslim who says Assalamu alaikum. I never thought I would see that. That's right. Because of the Minister Farrakhan. And because of that, man, I tell you. And my mother, as I give presentations in the exhibit and as we show the many gifts that she had received from Master Fard Muhammad addressed to her, you think you excited. I'm just as excited as you are, because here I am thinking now, this is my mother I'm talking about. She never walked around the house saying, I'm Master Farad's own secretary, I this and I that. She never did none of that. No. She was a mother just like any other person would be, as a good, stern mother want the best for their children. That's what she was in the house. And she brought that same type of guidance, that same type of sternness that Master Fard had put in her into the house. She brought it into the house. There are a lot of things we couldn't do. when we walk that straight line, brother, let me tell you, we walk that straight Muslim line. And when I see the fruits of their labor, my mother and father, and many other pioneers, because there were Muslims in the nation before them. Sister Mary Mazel was there before my mother. There were people before them that were already there. We got Bachas, we got Shahs, we got Shaws. We got many people who were there before them and who came right along with them after they came into the nation.
Wow.
So there, I am thrilled
for that. And
we
are too.
As you feeling chills, don't think I'm feeling nothing.
Listen.
I'm excited. When you called me, brother, let me tell you, I was driving. And I pulled over. When you called me and asked me to, I was like, yes.
Listen, Sister Medina, we got y'all probably working on it already, but this has to be we got to get a documentary. This has to get has to be a documentary.
We got a line up.
I know
when this is on. Yes,
I know. And so
tell you.
When we talked on the phone, you talked about the importance of us also spending some time during this interview talking about the challenges that the early Muslims faced and they overcame, right? And in the book, The Pathway of Islam, it talks about the early challenges with the nation. And one of the early challenges was our efforts to establish our own school, educating our children. So can you talk about that fight and how believers were jailed? And you also talked about how your mother and others had to witness their children being taken away temporarily. Can you talk about that?
Yes, sir. You know, in many instances, this Muhammad family has experienced many trials that no other, and I'm hoping that people will receive this in the right context that I'm putting it out.
I understand it.
I'm not trying to sound that we're greater. I'm not trying to do any of that.
Yes, ma'am.
But this Muhammad family, and specifically, I'm speaking right now, just right now, in terms of what my mother and father experienced. Now, if there's other people that had children taken, I don't know who they are. It was never spoken of if that happened. We only know that the children taken were children of John and Bernstein Muhammad. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, when he heard this, was so hurt. And he told my father, he said, they're after me. And you are the closest they can get to me. It's me that they want. So I say the suffering and the sacrifices in that sense to the Muhammad family because we were close to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And my father and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad can pass for twins.
Yes. Yes.
Many times that my father would pretend that my father and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, my father would pretend that he was Elijah Muhammad. And so because they looked so much alike, and they were after the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And so they knew that if they could get those children, those babies, even though they were warned. Now they sent letters. The enemy sent letters to my mother and father and stating that if they did not take their children out of the school, the University of Islam, set up by Master Fard Muhammad, who at first were grown people in the school. First, they were grown people because, like I said, 65 years after slavery, a lot of black people didn't know how to read or write. They couldn't write their letter asking for their holy name. They had to be taught that. And many of the teachers then were youngsters. There are some teachers were 14. Sally Allah, Sister, what's her name? The tall sister, Cecile Muhammad. So there are many of them who were teenagers and youngsters themselves, and that was the reason why they wanted to close the school, which they did have a pretty much, I guess, a legitimate reason because they were not actually qualified. The school was not accredited because the teachers were not qualified, but they were qualified to teach those older people how to read and write. My mother said often they would take a grown person by the hand and teach them how to write their name. Can you imagine something like that?
Wow.
And so that's why Master Fry, that was the first reason, was to teach the little ones. So in the classroom, you got children and you got grown folk who are learning how to read and write. And so when they came and they took the children from the home. I mean, with documentary, everything, books, everything. Just be a little patient with us. We got it all coming.
I believe it.
It's coming. It's coming.
And let's do this. We have 5 more minutes before the break. You talked about I saw on Brother Joshua's show where you said you had just that experience with the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad about teaching you your multiplications or how you can, figure out your multiplications. And you said a lot of your older siblings have more experiences with him. Are there any experiences that your older siblings have had with the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad or even Mother Clara Muhammad that they may have shared with you that you might can share with us? Any that you remember?
Yes, sir. They well, like I said, of course, they are because I'm number 13 and there's one brother up under me. So so the other older ones, yes, sir. Inshallah, one day they will get on here and talk and speak about their experiences, which would better come from them.
Gotcha.
I hope that, and I believe they're watching, but they should be right here with me sharing this screen. And they could tell their stories, because speaking of that, they came and they took 4 children. One of at that time was the baby girl, and she's still living. The other ones have returned to Allah. And when that happened, after the children were taken and from foster homes, and they were taken from and put into foster home, return home for probably about 60 days. And the messenger would come to Detroit, and he would come here and pick those children up because he was hurt about it so bad, and he wanted to spend time with them himself, and he would come and bring them to Chicago and spend summers with him, so they can tell you about the candies, and he'd show them how to pick a watermelon, and just having the many toys and the gifts, and he would just have a good time with them, really would. So yes, sir.
Now, you mentioned earlier, and when I asked a question about Master Fard Muhammad, how he would balance off the seriousness, you said yes, he went to Baylor. Something you said was, is that a
Belle Isle Park? That's a park here. It's Belle Isle. It's an island. It's an island. Yes, sir.
And it's still in existence in Detroit today?
Oh yes. Oh yes, sir. Oh yeah. Well, in existence. Did you see the races, the car races, a few weeks ago? That was at Belle Isle Park.
Wow.
That is a national park now too, as well. Beautiful park. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, inshallah, the next time I come to Detroit, I'm definitely, inshallah. In addition to coming to taste some of your food, I'm going to Belle Isle Park as well. So
Belle Isle Park, yeah, I'm gonna tell you, we'll be more than happy to take you. Me and my brother will take you around and show you a lot of how everything started in the Black Bottom area, as much as we can show you Hastings Street and all of that. Be a pleasure.
And inshallah, when you're able to travel down here in the city of New Orleans, we'll give you a tour. And I'm going to send you, after this interview, I'm going to send you the 36-minute documentary we put together about the history of the Nation of Islam in New Orleans. But we're going to go to our next break, and we're going to be back to hear some more of these insightful stories and histories that are being shared by our sister Medina Mohammed, and stay tuned for part 2, which is going to air on July 11th, because we're going to have that tag team with Sister Medina and her brother Noor, who are going to share more. So we'll be right back.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps to combat false media. Cash App NNV News.
Asiatic Minds, online education, helping our children to discover their God-given skills, gifts, talents, and passion that will allow them to see their greatness as well as the greatness of our people. And upon discovering that greatness, infusing them with the desire to use it for the betterment of themselves, their families, our people, and the world. Classes begin September 1st. To enroll, visit AsiaticMinds.com. Greetings from National Network View. This week's Final Call cover story headline is dedicated to a champion in the liberation struggle, as Africa and the Black world are honoring the late Kenneth Kaunda, a hero of the struggle to free the motherland, a longtime statesman and leader in efforts to move Africa forward. Zambia's founding president recently departed this life at age 97. This remembrance and tribute includes a special message by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan regarding one of the giants of Africa. This FCN Volume Number 38 edition middle page article is entitled, "The Judgment of Allah Has Entered America." To read more, subscribe to finalcalldigital.com and tune into the all-new Final Call Radio. This is the nnvnews.com Final Call cover report.
He anointed our head with oil till our cup runneth over. He who, Master Muhammad, that is he.
This is Sister Sajda Muhammad. We are proud to announce that the Sajda House commemorative Elijah coins are finally here. This priceless heirloom, made from recycled copper from the messenger's home, is now available at sajdahouse.com.
Please make sure you leave your comments and questions in the comment section below. Follow us on Facebook, National Network View, and make sure to check us out on Twitter as well, National Network View. This is Sergio Gutierrez with National Network View, signing off.
And we're back, brothers and sisters, with our guest sister Medina Mohammed for part one, talking about the Savior and her mother's contribution and her parents' contribution. One of the other interesting things from reading the book, we always hear about the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad being arrested in 1942, but in the booklet, it pointed out how it was a hypocrite inside the community that actually pointed the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad out to the law enforcement agent. So if you know anything about that, you can share about that as well. But also we learned that when he was arrested, this is where Mother Clara stepped up to begin to start leading the community in the absence of her husband. Can you share anything you know about that aspect?
Okay, yes, sir. I'm gonna touch on a little bit because see, we got these books coming up, and we.
I got you. I got you.
So yes, sir. So back then, even when Master Farad was president, there were people who were informants, and they would give reports that, and I imagine that they probably still exist today in the nation. You got people on the inside who are reporting to the enemy, who are letting them know how we're moving and where certain things are going on. And with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in trying to set up the nation and doing everything that he did and was extremely successful, he also had enemies on the inside. There were people that was jealous, who wanted his position. And so as he was at a location, there was a guy who let the FBI know where he was so that they could come and arrest him. That's all I'm gonna say about that right now. And at the time when the messenger was away and when he was locked up in serving time, his wife, Mother Claire Muhammad, was the one who actually helped to continue the nation. She helped to continue the nation, her with some other sisters. And even at that time, they did not want the Holy Quran in the prison. They did not allow the book in the prison. So what the sisters did was they got together and they wrote the Quran out and give to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and them so that they could be able to read the Holy Quran.
Yo, you know, it was in Detroit for Savior's Day. You were the first person I ever heard share the part about how the children were educating the parents on some instances in the school. And now you just dropped another piece of history that I didn't know about the sisters recopying the Holy Quran so that they will be able to get it. Yo, y'all got to come out with this book, and all that stuff is needed in the documentary. And it's just so, he's just saying so much. Also in the book that's talking about the early women, some of the early women who accepted the teachings of the Most High, just accepted Islam, right?
Yes,
you mentioned a sister by the name of Sister Ozetta.
Yes, sir.
And how she protected your family. Can you share with the audience about her? You all can read more about this sister in the book as well, which is going to be shown on the screen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, there was a time when they wanted to take the children from my mother and father before they actually came to the house. When they actually took the children, they came to the house and took the children. And when they, yes, sir, and they took the children then, but they wanted to do it before then. And they were, and Sister Ozetta was there. And so when Sister Ozetta instructed the children that when they call your name, act like you don't hear them. Don't respond. So she had on a wide skirt. And this is what I'm told by one of my sisters who were one of the children, my sister Janet. And they was saying that Sister Ozetta had a big skirt on, her skirt. And she took her skirt and widened the skirt to cover them up. And she said, if they call your name, don't say anything. Don't say nothing. So at that point, that was a time when they were protected.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And for those who are watching this, we have about 8 minutes left. For those who are watching this, can you tell them where they can go to get copies of these books? I know you said last time you put your telephone number out there and you couldn't get any sleep. So
well, Allah has blessed us to meet a very good gentleman. His name is Eric Majet. And he put together, he's working with our website. And so we have a website that is still under construction, but you are able to go on, view the books, and purchase the books. The website is NOI. The NOI is new to me. I'm used to saying. But so it's NOI.
The NOI.
I'm sorry, the NOI Reformer.com. The NOI Reformer.com.
So that's where they can get the books. And while we have in these last minutes, we talked about this on the phone, and you talk about this in the book that's actually about your mother. Can you talk about Master Farrakhan Muhammad's, like the times where he tapped into the thinking of your mother? I think it was with the suit. It was with several things.
Right. It was this wine color suit that he would wear. She said the messenger had one as well that was like it. And she hadn't seen the master with the suit on, and she was thinking to herself, wow, I haven't seen him with that suit. And she liked the way the suit looked on him, and she was thinking about it. He came that day, she was thinking about it. And he said, he walked up to her and said, how do I look? And so she was just blown away. She said, oh my God, I was just thinking about that, So he asked her, how do I look? So yes, sir. That was one of the times.
Situation where there was some people that were making fun of another believer or something?
There were some sisters, and now they were at home. They were at home talking about, in fact, the sister was Sister Cecile, one of the sisters I just mentioned. She was a 15-year-old who was a teacher. And my mother said she could write so small, she could write on a eraser on a pencil. She could write on it. She could write so small. Her handwriting was impeccable. And she was a 15-year-old, but she was very tall. And so the sisters were at home and making remarks about her and everything. And so Master Farad told them when he saw them, he spoke about what they were saying at home about this sister, and he checked them about it. Okay? Nicely said. But he had something to say to them about that. Yes,
wow.
sir.
And I know from our conversations when we talk, you and your family have a desire to get out and share this history, what you all are sharing, until the other information is placed in a book and a documentary form. For those who are interested, who have other shows like this, who maybe want to interview you or your brother, what would be a good way for them to reach out to contact you?
Well, all that information is on the website.
On the
You'll
website.
be able to contact us through the website. The NOI reformer.com. The NOI reformer.com. And there's a contact number on there. All the information you need to contact us is there. We have a messaging system, 707 Reform 1. You can also reach out to us. So all that information is on the website. We have an email, the reformer 1932 at gmail.com. So we all about the reformer.
The reformer. And then what we're going to do, we're going to close out, because then we want to get ready to prepare for this second interview, which is going to air, inshallah, on next Sunday with you and your brother. So, Sister Medina, listen, I could sit down and hear you talk hours with all this history, and we just really scratching the surface, you know.
Allah has blessed us with a lot to share.
And is there anything, before we close out, is there anything you would like to share in these closing minutes that you didn't have an opportunity to share?
I just want to say that in the process of all of this that we're doing, since I have to give a shout out to Brother Joshua. I tell you, in February, when
People's Podcast,
and the response that we have gotten since that interview has been enormous, and we're still getting responses. Been enormous. Some of the comments just sends chills through my body. I had a sister that said to me, she read the first paragraph in one of the books, that she had learned more than she'd learned since she'd been in the nation. And she said that she had been in the nation for 20 years. I don't know which book or which paragraph, but I'm going to find out what was she referring to, because that just set me, did a wow me. And I wanted to, I just give thanks to Allah for my parents, because I'm only given a testimony to who my parents were and their service. And inshallah, I will have one day myself. And I thank the many people that we have came in contact with, Brother John and Brother Sharif in Texas, that's helping us with the documentary you just mentioned. My dear sister Karima, Emeritus Captain Sister Karima in Atlanta, who has helped me so much. I call on her, and she has guided me so much in helping me. My dear friend Shannon Nicole, very good friend of mine that's helping me so much in her good spirit. Dr. Stacy, Brother Carlos, and Brother Ali, the historic
Detroit.
Yes, Detroit #1. There's so many people that has helped.
We understand.
All the new people, and wait a minute, and New Orleans, Sister what is it? The Kayla from Houston.
Praise be to Allah.
Houston.
Well,
my good brother, my baby brother, Nur Muhammad.
He was coming up next. So what we're going to do, thank you, sister. And for those who are tuning in, make sure you tune in next Sunday, inshallah, July the 11th, to hear part 2 with the double dose of the Muhammad family, Sister Medina and her brother Brother Noor, I'm about to say Noor, but Noor is pretty much the same thing. Thank you all for tuning in, and make sure you subscribe to I Have a Testimony and NNV News Network on YouTube and on our social media handles as well. Peace.
God came to us to seek and to save that which was lost. He raised a man from among us.
He, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, laid the foundation. What I'm doing is something that comes from him through me, and the thing that he uses in me to do the work is my faith in him and the word that he taught. To produce men and women who wanted to clean up their life and build an independent nation for the glory of God.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps to combat false media. Cash App NNV News.